Hey everybody, long time no see. I've been on a bit of a video hiatus for a while now. Apologies about that. 2023 has been quite eventful for me in all the negative ways. I will not go into details, but I'm just going to say that this year has been very rough for me personally, and it's also been rough for my family as well. So we've been doing our best to navigate through it, survive and thrive and all that as best we can. And, it's not really to throw a pity party or say, woe is me. You have to deal with plenty of suffering yourself just by virtue of being a part of this human experience. But I figured, I'd at least explain why I haven't been uploading nearly as much as I once did. And in truth, I don't know how long this channel will continue. I don't know if it'll endure or if it'll get deleted one day or what. But for now, I'm just going to take it a day at a time. And whatever happens, happens, Right now I am speaking to you all while driving home from work because that is the best time for me to do this. And admittedly, this is my third attempt to make a video after so long. I'm a bit rusty, but I'd like to think that with each attempt I'm getting better at articulating my thoughts, And speaking of which, what is the subject of today's video? Well, I've thought about it because a lot of things have happened and are constantly occurring with this grand scheme by the Legion of Doom, as I like to call them. But to make like a general umbrella subject for us to work with here, I'm going to say that this video is going to be about the fact that we don't really know much of anything in the modern day we live in. Rather, we know, rather than knowing what is true, we know a whole lot of what isn't. And then we have to kind of extrapolate from that what the real truth is, Where to begin? Well, I'll start with the basics and expand. So first off, we know already that we can't trust any news sources that are mainstream, right? Your CNNs, your Fox News, stuff like that. Lies, bullshit, manipulation, propaganda, whatever you want to call it. There's plenty of evidence out there. For anyone new, I don't make these videos so I can be like, let me prove these statements I'm making. No. Take what resonates, throw away the rest. If you want to just laugh it off, dismiss me, think I'm crazy, blah, blah, you are welcome to do so. I don't have time. I don't have time to convince people who are still fucking asleep. I'm sorry. I don't have time. So I'm just going to say some things that might seem really fucking nuts, and well, you can take my word for it, look into it, or don't, whatever. Anyway, getting back on track here. So, mainstream media, obviously, that's invalid. Okay. That's unfortunate because that's what I guess not so much now, but historically, that's what a lot of people listen to for their information. Now it's a bit more diverse with the internet. But it gets tricky because, layer one, okay, I can't trust the news. What else can I not trust? Your government, that's for sure, okay. So I can't trust the news. I can't trust the government. What else? Well, how about major organizations with close ties to the government, like, say, NASA? Can't trust them either. I'm sorry for everyone who's still in denial about this. The moon landing is the fakest thing. It's got fucking, the space shuttle that supposedly landed on the moon has fucking tinfoil wrapped around it. And the footage was shot off of another screen. They didn't even have a direct feed when they broadcasted it. But, again, I'm not going to try to defend these positions or break it all down. I'm just going to tell you how it is and, take it or leave it. So yeah, moon landing's fake. Everything NASA says about space is some sort of lie. But what is the point of me bringing all this up? It's because while we know these things are lies and deceits, the truth is still elusive. I know what space isn't, but I don't know what space is. And isn't that frustrating? I mean, all we can do is speculate, because everything is so mired in manipulation and deceit. It is just unbelievable now. The Bible says that the atmosphere, the firmament, or whatever, divides the waters from the waters. The waters from the waters being, the waters of earth from the waters of space, I guess, or the heavens. So who knows? Maybe out there space is actually water, or maybe that's just a metaphor for something else entirely. I don't know. But what I do know is that I'm being fucking lied to about it. I just gotta work with that, because that's what we have. Same thing goes, with government systems. It should be obvious to anyone who looks into it and is willing and ready to accept the information that the government has been fallen. It's been gone. It's been corrupt. But never has it been so blatant. I mean, now we're in Idiocracy here. And for those of you who haven't seen that film, we're in an episode of The Twilight Zone or an episode of Black Mirror. Insert metaphor here. Everything is so obviously fucked, and yet nothing is being done. Oh, like Biden, his mind is gone. He can't form cohesive sentences. His health is gone. He's physically and mentally unfit to be president. He's the most obvious puppet president I've ever seen in the history of all mankind. I won't even say in my lifetime or the past 100 years. No, I think out of all the history of the human race as we know it, I don't think there's ever been a more obvious example of a puppet leader. And they don't hide it, They don't hide that he's blatantly incompetent. They actually kind of flaunt it a bit. And, that bugged me for a bit. Why? Why did they flaunt that stuff? Why do they make it so obvious that he's a moron and he's totally unfit? Well, I think with everything that the Legion of Doom does, it's multifaceted, right? On one hand, for anyone who is aware of what's going on, it hurts our morale, right? To see this drooling zombie leading the nation and so many people still buying into that. And there are ads for Biden-Harris 2024 one and 2024 run, and man, how far gone is anyone who believes that's legitimate? But anyway, I'm trying not to lose my train of thought here. Sorry, I'm tired from work. I saw one of my Instagram buddies make a post about Biden and Harris, and I thought, you know what? This is it. This is another good reason for why they make it so obvious. They want to make America's collapse and downfall appear to be incompetence rather than what it actually is, which is all of our supposed leaders are bought and paid for, and they're just letting us get collapsed and destroyed, basically. The system is... What was it that Ra's al Ghul said in the Batman Begins movie? The system is so fundamentally corrupt that we've been able to infiltrate every level of its infrastructure. That's it. That is America's political system. It is so far gone that it is irreparable. There is no fixing it, which is the one silver lining with America's inevitable collapse, is that at least it'll give us the opportunity for a fresh start. Now, of course, the Legion of Doom is going to use it as an opportunity for a fresh start at a new world order, right? But, well, all we can really do is speak out and hope that by then things are shitty enough for people to go, maybe I shouldn't listen to the government. Maybe I shouldn't listen to this organization that, if you look into it, is actually the primary cause of all human suffering. We'll see, right? I don't have solutions, people. This whole YouTube channel is just one poor soul who can see way too much of this shit, but I'm not a spiritual guru or whatever. You know, I'm not like some of these other channels. I'm not here to be like, this is the answer. I don't know what the answer is. I'm just riding the ride along with all of you. I do think that a big facet of the answer would be to be as kind as you can be, as positive as you could be at these tough times. And that doesn't mean don't let yourself be negative or, you know, like be hard on yourself for being negative. No. You know, you're a human. Experience the human journey. Whatever. I'm just saying that it's important to be kind. You know, it's important to be kind in these trying times. We got to try to lead by example. And as things unravel more and more and more, and we're proven more and more and more correct, hopefully enough people will listen to where one day the majority will actually practice peaceful non-compliance against our would-be rulers, because that's the real answer. If you try to go for like any sort of rebellion, any sort of violent route, then you're just playing into their hands. It's not going to do anything. It has to, like, the solution has to be the majority of human beings being peacefully non-compliant with all of these tyrannical rulers. Will we get there? I don't know. I mean, things look worse than ever right now, to be honest. Not just like on like a personal life level, which is also true, but I mean, things are so rough out there right now for like in the world. But all that said, I still do have faith that, you know, those of us with eyes to see are here for a reason, for a purpose, you know. And I can't bring myself to believe that purpose is just to mitigate losses. Like, I don't know how we'll get through this. I don't know how humanity as a whole can like find God again and stop all this horrific evil. But I have faith that we'll get there one day. We'll get through it all, guys. We'll find some way, right? But anyway, to get back on track here, I'm sorry, I just can't help but rant. I don't have any scripts, and even like I thought about like writing in bullet points or something, you know, just to keep me kind of focused, but it's just not me. Anyway, to add to the facet of this whole all we know is what isn't true thing, there's another layer to all of this. So you have the mainstream media, you have the government, and you have all the you know, official information and answers and news stories that come from those sources. But then you also have the controlled opposition layer. What's the controlled opposition layer? Well, my primary example for that would probably be Alex Jones. Now, there is a small chance he's genuine still, right? I'd say a small percentage chance that he's genuine. If he is, then I sincerely apologize, but he probably doesn't give a shit what some random guy in Georgia thinks anyway. But for me, what opened my eyes to him being, because, you know, a lot of people who first wake up to the situation humanity finds itself in will start out with people listening to people like Alex Jones, right? And I certainly did. But what made me be like, I think he's not fully on our side here, he's not fully genuine, is back in, it was either 2010 or 2012, something like that. He had an interview on CNN with Piers Morgan, and leading up to this interview, he was selling it like, oh, you know, this is our big chance to show all the normal people out there what's going on, and to get them to listen, and to get them to see the truth, and blah, 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 blah. You know, selling it as an opportunity to open more eyes to what's going on. But then, and you know, he would describe these things in a relatively calm and rational way. I mean, we've all seen clips of his insane ranting, but for the most part, he was mostly chill, I'll say. But anyway, so then come the interview, as soon as the interview starts with Piers Morgan, he just starts raving and ranting like a fucking lunatic. You know, he looked and sounded like a lunatic, and what he was saying was barely comprehensible at all. You know, he just fucking went nuts. And for me, watching that interview back then, I was like, okay, he effectively just threw the fight. Like if it was a boxing match, he would have just obviously thrown the fight, because that's what that was. He fucked up that interview on purpose. The man's too intelligent to have fucked that up so royally. I'm sorry. There's no way. So after that happened, I was like, all right, this man's controlled opposition. And then the other big factor years later that double confirmed it, for me at least, was his endorsement of Trump, and even now still pushing Trump and like the right wing politically is somehow the answer to this stuff. No, it is not. No, it is not. Trump was close friends with the Clintons years and years and years ago. And I mean, I hate to like say it this way, guys, but we just can't trust any billionaires. If they're a billionaire, then they're owned by Satan. Just to put it as bluntly as possible here. And when I say Satan, you know, it's the Anunnaki, oh, it's aliens, oh, it's interdimensional, whatever. The word Satan means the enemy. So it's a blanket term. It applies to whatever the creature is that these people worship, it applies. So, Satan. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's the side Trump is on. Trump and Biden are not truly enemies. It's all just a show, guys. The political system is a show. And if you pull your perspective back far enough, even like the idea of separate countries is a show. It's all a show. Unfortunately, man finds itself as livestock for whatever these creatures are that the politicians like to worship in Bohemian Grove and other places. I am vaguely curious as to the nature of these entities they worship, though. You know, like, is it Baphomet? Is it Molech? Is it all these things? Are they one and the same creature, or is it multiple creatures? I wonder. But I guess since I brought that up, I might as well go into that tangent. I mean, I'm not staying on track anyway, right? Just stream of consciousness, whatever. I think the most likely theory for what has happened to us is that our leaders many generations ago sold humanity out for power. It's the reason why our technology exploded as it did. I always thought growing up, like, you know, it's so strange, the idea of things like the television and stuff like that. And, you know, if you brought up that idea in caveman times, everyone would have thought you were fucking insane. But then one day it happened. How did it happen? Did some guy think, oh, well, if I just put these circuits together in this way, I can make an image form, like, you know. I think my point is the technology humanity has gained over the decades, the generations. We were taught this technology. We were given this technology by malevolent entities that are taking advantage of our corrupt leaders so that they can themselves kind of come into our plane and feast on our suffering. That's what it seems like. It seems like the most likely theory. You know, yeah, crazy, schizophrenic, blah, blah. There are a billion videos at this point that break down how and why all these things seem likely. People can find it for themselves. I guess a good start would be like what? Like Jordan Maxwell, maybe. A lot of his videos were insightful. And if I recommend anybody, by the way, that's not an endorsement, like I agree with everything this individual says. No, just they have a lot of insightful, interesting information, and you should take what resonates with you and toss the rest aside. That's what that means. Listen to all kinds of people over the year. what's his name? Santos Damachi or something like that. It's been so long, I forget his last name. Santos something. He had some good videos breaking stuff down before he went kind of nuts. David Icke, you know, is David Icke controlled opposition like I think Alex Jones is? Maybe. I don't trust somebody like another channel, Quantum of Conscience, once said, I don't really trust somebody who can fill Wembley Arena and talk about these things. So I don't know what his deal is, but that doesn't change the fact that there's at least some, you know, useful information from that source. And that kind of goes around to my point about us only knowing what's false and what's not, you know, rather than what's true. You can't, you know, you kind of got to take everything with a grain of salt, and you have to just take the pieces that make sense from each various source and just, you know, piece together the puzzle that way. Because it is so much, like, everything is such lies and manipulation, it's hard to tell what the truth is. Another example from a major recent event would be the whole Israel thing that happened recently, Hamas attacking Israel. Based on the description of the attack, them breaching through the walls with construction vehicles, them going over the perimeter with what was it, parachutes and machine guns, like, or something like that. The guerrilla tactics utilized by Hamas to penetrate the perimeter in like 17 different areas at once. I'm not a military expert, okay, but I do not believe that they would have succeeded if it was an organic, genuine attack. I think that bare minimum, Israel did allow it to happen. Now, I can't tell you specifically what objectives they sought out to achieve by allowing it to happen. But you can look at the general picture and it kind of comes together, you know? Well, who benefits from that situation? The Palestinians don't benefit from that situation. They do not. Hamas also does not benefit from that situation. But Israel does. Now they got an excuse to be more aggressive. They have an excuse to secure more emergency powers for themselves. You know, it's the basic, for anyone who's familiar with Star Wars, it's the Palpatine tactic, you know? You make the crisis in the first place, then you offer your solution to the crisis, and you have your excuse and reasoning to expand your own power and centralize your power more. Just watch Star Wars Episode 3. There you go, children's film. Well, kind of a children's film. It does kind of show a man get lit on fire and burned alive for a while. I don't know if that's so kid appropriate, but whatever. Star Wars. Boy, Disney's ruined that, hasn't it? That's another thing, though. I'm glad I thought of that. One more thing to talk about as I'm nearing my home here. All this entertainment drama, and I've seen it endlessly on YouTube, you know. Oh, Disney is fucking up Star Wars. Oh, Marvel can't get anything right. Oh. It's all being destroyed on purpose. It's for multiple reasons, because everything that the Legion of Doom does is multifaceted. It's to achieve multiple objectives simultaneously. It's causing division. It's creating tremendous distraction. And it's working. People still can't wrap their heads around the fact that maybe, just maybe, Disney's fucking it up on purpose, you know? But, to be fair, most people still aren't ready and willing to accept the truth of what Hollywood is. And unfortunately, in this dystopian present we live in, I can't talk too much about that. The one strike on my channel I have is because I dared speak out against the rich and famous of Hollywood. Don't want to get striked again, right? Hopefully everyone who watches my channel already knows what Hollywood is, and if not, look into it yourself. You can find out. Just say it's no good. It's no good. But yeah, folks, so to summarize the ranting and raving, everything is fucked, but keep the faith. We knew it had to get worse before it would get better, and we are still in that. It is still having to get worse before it gets better. A lot of people are not ready to accept the reality of humanity's situation, and things need to get a lot worse for them to finally snap out of it, if they're able to snap out of it at all. And I understand, I do. As frustrating as it gets, I understand. It is very difficult to accept that what you've been told about the world you live in, about how reality works on a fundamental level, about how the political system works, about how your country functions, all these things, they're all lies. That's tough to swallow. That's a tough pill to swallow. Hard to accept. And then on top of that, you find out, on top of that, it's not even like just a physical thing. These corrupt politicians, all these leaders, the shadow government, they're worshiping Molech and Baphomet and all this shit. They want to take place in horrific sacrifices and all sorts of crazy nonsense. What's all this satanic shit that's going on everywhere? What is this? So that's the thing, right? Is like the truth is really horrific. It's very scary. It's no exaggeration to say that we're in an episode of Twilight Zone or Black Mirror. It is. Truth is stranger than fiction. If any of you are gamers, the video game Bloodborne is quite the metaphor for, it's quite symbolic of what is happening to us. But as hard as it gets, we just gotta keep up the fight. Keep up being kind and jolly as best you can, and I am going to attempt to speak out more myself. Too many people are just perpetuating the lies and deceits, right? Those of us who are willing and able to speak out ought to do so. I don't have all the answers. I'm just some guy who notices more than I ought to. And that's the other tricky thing is, you try, shame on me. But there have been points in my life where I've tried to just go back to sleep, if you will, go back into the matrix, drink it all away or whatever. But you can't unknow the truth, unfortunately. Well, and fortunately, we can't unknow what's going on. Things are crazy. God has graced us with this knowledge for a purpose. So let's come together and find some way to heal the world, right? And there's your positive ending right there. But all right, I am getting home here in a few more minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you, all of you who are still subscribed. I don't know why you listen to me, but I'm thankful you do. And I'm thankful for being able to listen to all of you. A lot of you have channels of your own, either on YouTube or you post on Instagram or whatever. I watch when I can. It's together that we can really figure this out. And I'm grateful to have you all. I'm grateful that in these trying times, at least we can all take solace in knowing that we're not alone. Even if we're separate, you're not in this alone. And with that, I'll say, God loves you. Do your best to love yourselves as well. And hope you all have a wonderful day.